Dear students, today we will discuss on a few topics on curriculum development. So let us take up one by one that what a curriculum is now. Secondly, what curriculum is. Then what are the different levels of curriculum. Then various questions which is important for the curriculum designers. Then the most important today's topic which are left because of the lockdown, process of curriculum development, the part of which we had already discussed, and little bit which was left we will discuss today. And finally, the stakeholders in curriculum development. This is also the topic which we had taken up already also partially, but today we will discuss it again. So before going through this process of curriculum development and stakeholders in curriculum development, let us little bit talk about the other small topics which are important to be taken up. So first is what a curriculum is not. With a common perception of the people that a list of subjects to be transmitted and learned, it is sometimes taken up as curriculum, but it is not so. This is only a syllabus of a particular class or a particular program. But the curriculum in itself is a broader term, and syllabus is a one of the part of that curriculum. Secondly, the details of methods and times or various methodologies which are used for projecting the content or the various time periods which are utilized to project that subjects or the syllabuses, that is also not a curriculum, but that is known as methodology and timetable. Then what curriculum is? There is a definition by Stenhouse that a curriculum is an attempt to communicate the essential features and principles of an educational proposal in such a form that it is open to critical scrutiny and capable of effective translation into practice. That curriculum is communicated with respect to its features and principles, and it fulfills the purpose of education, and it is open for critical scrutiny, means it is properly examined by the experts or the teachers after the transaction, and it is capable of effective translation into practice, and it can be practiced, it can be transacted, it can be translated from the expert to the learner. So this is a curriculum according to Stenhouse. Then secondly, a curriculum is the public face of a profession's best educational thinking. Means what education thinks according to Fish, what education thinks, how that is best contribution to the public, how that contributes to the public in the best manner. That is the curriculum. Means by fulfilling the objectives of the society, fulfilling the needs of the society, fulfilling the needs of the learners, and thereby learners becomes a resource for the society. In this manner, how curriculum is there to contribute to the society. So this is a most important characteristic of a curriculum. Then the curriculum may include the formal settings or the informal settings. Means curriculum may have some formal rules and regulations, or some of the things may be there which are not in formal settings, These are the different types of curriculum, just like formal curriculum and the informal curriculum. Then overt and covert. Overt means which is there, which is open, which is there, that that is clear, that what is to be taught and what is to be included in the curriculum. And covert means the things may be there which is there to be included, but those are not on the plan. Then recognized and overlooked curriculum means, recognized means the curriculum which is fixed, which is recognized that this type of things are to be included in the curriculum for a particular program, and these all to be used or transmitted or translated to the learners. But overlooked means there may be some of the things which the experts feel or the teachers feel that those are already undertaken by the learners in the previous classes, or those are not so important to be undertaken in this particular scenario, so those things are overlooked in the class. So that may be taken as the overlooked part of the curriculum. Then intentional and unintentional curriculum means, intentional means which is intended to be accomplished during a particular program, and which is a very important part, which is taken up as a very important part, and that is to be undertaken and that is to be utilized in a particular program. And unintentional means some of the things when the individual or the teacher feels that these are the additional things which should be transmitted to the students so as to enrich their learning. So some of the things can be included by the teacher in addition to the intentional curriculum. So that those things which are not there in the curriculum, but unintentionally teacher feels its need, and that is transmitted to the students, so that is unintentional. Sometimes additional inputs, additional examples, additional enrichments which are used by the teacher in the classroom, that is the unintentional curriculum, because that benefits the individuals in their learning or in their future endeavors that may be helpful, which is done by the teacher. So it is determined as much by what it omits and as what it contains. Means many of the things, curriculum is so important that many of the things which are omitted during the program or which are contained in the program, but that omittings and containments, those determine the existence of the curriculum. So finally, the curriculum is all of the experiences that individual learners have in a program. Means keywords are underlined, that all experiences which are learned by the individual learners or which are taken up by the individual learners in a particular program of education, whose purpose is to achieve broad goals. Means that is the purposeful experiences, and those are helpful in the achievement of the goals which are set in that particular program, and related specific objectives which is planned in terms of a framework of theory and research or past and present professional practices. Means these are the requirements of that particular program, and those are set by the theory and research of the professionals or the professional practices. So those objectives, the things which are the experiences or the things or the content which is helpful to achieve those goals or those specific objectives, is known as the curriculum. Then all the learning which is planned and guided by the school, whether it is carried on in groups or individually inside or outside the schools, means all those activities or all those things which are going on in the schools or outside the schools, or which are planned or unplanned or guided by the schools, and which is provided in groups or individually to help the individual learn in that particular program. That is curriculum. It is not only syllabus, it is not only methodology, it is not merely only the practicals or the instructions or so, but all the things whatsoever is going on inside the school or outside the school with respect to that program, that will be known as the curriculum of that particular program. The next is the levels of curriculum. Any curriculum that is having the different levels, and basically 3 levels of curriculums are discussed. The first one is planned, then is delivered, and third one is experienced. Planned, what is intended by the designers. In any program, the intended curriculum is designed by the designer, that this curriculum is to be presented to achieve some particular objectives. The second is delivered. Now, curriculum comes in the hands of the teachers or the institutions. Now, what the institutions has organized to be delivered, and what the teachers has decided to be taught, or what the teachers has taught in the classes to the students, that will be known as the delivered curriculum. Because there are so many things which are omitted by the institutions because of different situations or the problems may be there, or some of the things may be omitted by the teachers, or some of the things may be added by the unintentional, as we had discussed already. There are some unintentional curriculum, means many of the things are added by the teacher, that becomes delivered curriculum. Means delivered curriculum may have some additional activities, may have some activities omitted which are there in the planned curriculum. So planned curriculum and delivered curriculum, there may be some gap, but basically the objective to be fulfilled are the same by the planned as well as the delivered curriculum. Means delivered curriculum will have the main focus to achieve the objectives of the planned curriculum. Then third one is the experienced, what is learned by the students. Now, what was planned curriculum, which was planned by the designers, and what is delivered by the institution, whether all the things have been experienced by the student or no. The things which are experienced by the learners will be known as the experienced curriculum. The things which the learner could not attain or learner could not learn, that will not be included in the experienced curriculum. So these are different levels of the curriculum. If the planned curriculum, delivered curriculum, and experienced curriculum will be the same, then it will translate the total effectiveness of the curriculum, which will start from the designing or planning and designing to the transmission of the curriculum to the individuals. So these are the different levels of curriculum. There are the 4 basic questions, important questions for curriculum designers. The questions are, what educational purposes do we seek to attain? Now, these questions should be there in the mind of the designers when they are planning the curriculum. What educational purposes do we seek to attain? What outcome we need by the transaction of that curriculum? What do we need to be find out? Keeping in mind, we will be there to develop or design a very important or a very nice curriculum for that particular program. The second question is, what educational experiences are likely to attain these purposes? Now, what educational purposes are set Now, to achieve those educational purposes, what type of educational experiences are to be included? So that is also to be needed to be taken care of, and on the basis of those objectives we have to decide the educational experiences so that we may be able to attain those purposes. The third question is, how can these be organized effectively? Now, what will be the sequence to organize those experiences or the content? It will be as per the requirements of the learners, or the as per the requirement of the programs, or as per the objectives to be achieved. So we have to organize the experiences, or we have to organize the content which will be helpful in the attainment of those objectives. The next is, how can we determine whether these purposes are being attained? Now, after the transmission or after the presentation of the content by the teachers or the people who are involved in the teaching learning process, it is very important to find out whether those purposes have been attained or not. So for this purpose, we have to set proper assessment and evaluation techniques. That is for the learning experience, learning outcomes also, and for the effectiveness or the success of the curriculum as to attaining the objectives of that curriculum. So these 4 questions has been designed by Taylor that will be helpful for the curriculum designer if they will keep these questions in mind while designing a particular curriculum. Then is the process of curriculum change and development. When we will decide to change any curriculum or to develop a new curriculum, these are the some of the basic points which are to be considered while proceeding on this process. The first one is assessment of educational needs. Whenever we want to develop some curriculum for a particular program or for a particular class, we have to see that what are the needs, what are the educational needs. We have to assess those educational needs, and to fulfill those needs, then we have to formulate the objectives. That these are the objectives. These objectives has to be achieved to fulfill some particular educational needs. Means first we have to identify the needs of the society, educational needs of a particular community, educational needs of a particular country for which that curriculum is to be formulated. So after identifying the need, or after assessing the need of the society, then we will formulate the objectives to be attained. We have to fix the objectives of preparing that curriculum. Why that curriculum is needed, we have to fix some objectives. And now for achieving those objectives, when we will formulate the objectives, after the formulation of objectives, to attain those objectives or to fulfill those objectives or for achieving those objectives, we will need some content to be presented to the learners, because curriculum is there for the learners and objective is to be fixed. The focus of the objectives will be that what learning outcomes we are expecting that it should come up when we will transect that type of content to the learners. So we have to select and organize the content in the manner that we may be successful to achieve the formulated objectives. Then after organizing the content, we have to decide or select and organize the learning experiences. Means during the presentation of content, which type of experiences should be there should be given to the learners so that that content may be transmitted in the proper manner, and that will become the strength of the learners, or that will help the learners experience those things or learn those things very effectively. So for the learning experiences, we have to go for the different methodologies, we have to go for different strategies, teaching learning strategies, or different types of practicals and theoretical enrichments which we have to provide for the learners so as to make them capable of learning whatsoever is presented through that content. After the learning experiences, it becomes very important to evaluate those learning outcomes, that to which extent the learners has learned. So this is the evaluation of learning outcomes. So different evaluation methods, different testing techniques is to be included for the different learning experiences. Those may be practical, theoretical, objective, long answer types or something like that. There are different evaluation techniques. So we have to decide for that particular curriculum. Beforehand we must have everything ready, that because that is the part of the curriculum. Evaluation is also a part of the curriculum. And finally, evaluation of the curriculum. Evaluation of curriculum is also needed. This is the feedback on the part of the learners, teachers, and curriculum designers, or the policy makers, those or the curriculum planners. Those will assess the feedback what they have got from the learning outcomes, evaluation, or experiences, or about the content, or whether the objectives formulated have been achieved or not, or that has fulfilled the educational needs or not. So that evaluation of the curriculum, different stakeholders of that curriculum will be the part of the for the evaluation of the curriculum. So what are the different stakeholders, we will discuss in the next slide. So stakeholders of the curriculum development, we can see here, these are the stakeholders, means the people who are directly or indirectly involved, or directly or indirectly benefited, or directly or directly they are associated with the curriculum. Those are the stakeholders of the curriculum development. The curriculum planners means various policymakers which think on that there is a need for the curriculum development, or why there is a need, and they see the educational needs in the society, changing educational needs, so that they will raise the question that there should be some curriculum changes or like. The second is curriculum designers, the experts of the curriculum design. These may be teachers or the experts from the field of education, from different programs, from different fields of education. So these are the curriculum designers. Then the learners means the students of different age groups. These, in the characteristics of the learners, we can see here that learners have different characteristics as per their class, as per their age, as per their interest or their capabilities, and what they want to do, what they want to be. They are all individuals, or the learners are different, so they are having the different developmental characteristics, different intelligence they may be having. So as per their characteristics, the curriculum planners, they have to decide, the experts or the curriculum designers, they have to see that what are the different characteristics of the learner. As per their characteristics, they have to decide the curriculum. Because if they have to prepare the curriculum or the design the curriculum for secondary classes, then the learners have different characteristics. If they have to design the curriculum for higher education, then the learners of the higher education, they are having different characteristics. They may be having command on different vocabulary, different languages, interests, their capabilities. So all these things has to be taken into mind while designing the curriculum. So these things has to be taken into mind. Then the teacher's experiences. This is very important stakeholder of the curriculum development, because teachers transmit the curriculum to the learners. So teachers have every experiences of the curriculum, that what type of curriculum should be there, what should be included in the curriculum, what type of content should be there, and what type of the educational experiences, learning experiences should be there for a particular type of curriculum. So these experiences, I don't think that uh, teachers, there is any other important person, more important person than teacher in case of curriculum development. So involvement of the teachers, it is a must. And teacher would be of a most important helpful factor for the curriculum design. Then parents are there, which are expecting, they are having different expectations from the curriculum. Actually they are also most important stakeholder for the curriculum development, because parents, as a part of the society, they put some expectations before the educational planners. They put expectation that education must prepare our children for a good behavior, for good capabilities, for employability skills, for uh, communication skill, or different type of things which are needed for a particular individual to be successful in the society. These type of things parents, they used to expect from a curriculum. So they put the expectations, and expectations are as per the characteristics of the learner. Those expectations goes to the experts or the curriculum planners, policy makers, which are there to decide about the curriculum. And then curriculum is designed by the curriculum designers, the experts. And experts may include teachers and all, which are the experienced teachers or the researchers. Then curriculum comes, then curriculum is transmitted by the teachers with respect to different experiences which are shared during the planning of the curriculum also, and that is transmitted. Then through the transmission of that curriculum, that is translated into the expectations of the parents and as per the requirements of the characteristics of the learners. So in this manner, a the these stakeholders, these contribute in the curriculum development and transmission of the curriculum. So the society in which it is delivered, and this is also one of the thing, that society in which curriculum is delivered, that is also most important factor. And the parents, teachers, learners, all these, they contribute to fulfill the